Hi there, welcome back to the 67 Hail channel. Right, lessons from this season. John, what's the number one lesson other than don't make daft predictions on YouTube channels?
Well, that's a very good one. For me, it comes down to the transfer activity, and I know we're saying this in hindsight, and I know if they had sold some of our big players for the 10 in a row season, we probably would have been protesting outside the stadium anyway. But for me, I think the main lesson is don't keep players at the club longer than they want to be here, if at all possible, or at least, have some sort of manager in place who can still bring out the best of them, even though they do want to. I think it was rapidly became apparent that's what Neil Lennon was fighting against at points throughout the season, and not to absolve him of any blame, because I think he does have blame for the season, along with others at the club. But did we need to keep Edouard at the club? Did we need to keep Encham, at the club 4 months longer than he wanted to? I mean, Jeremy Frimpong eventually wanted away as well. For me, that was a mistake. That was a major mistake that kind of set us back almost immediately at the start of the season. And we've been talking about the warning signs at Celtic since after that Ferencváros defeat when Neil Lennon gave that interview. So for me, that would be a big lesson. Jackie, do you agree with that? Or, what other lessons do you think the club can learn from this season?
Just win every game. Simple. It's everybody's happy when they win. We don't. It's recruitment is hard. Even at the start, I remember we were talking at the start of the season about Duffy and thinking it'd be a good signing. Commanding centre half and international, and it's for one reason or another it's not worked. Barkas, so many things that have not went to plan this year. It's hard to put your finger on it why they can't handle there, especially when no fans have been there. Has that been an issue? But again, it's the same for all the teams. So you can't really make that excuse for them all the time. Recruitment is key, and that's been the success over the last number of years, why the club's been so good. And I think it's obviously going to be important with the new manager coming in. It's the right one as well. That you hit the ground running, because we've got a real challenge next season. I don't think any of us could see that the players and the club was going to suffer so much this season at the start. Get knocked out of Europe there, we're disappointed. First Rangers game, but it's been really disappointing and a big shock, because I don't think anybody could have seen it. But again, we've got to look on the positive side for this next season. There's going to be a lot of changes, and hopefully, there'll be good ones, good players coming in, good personnel behind the scenes, and a fresh start again. The club always been the same, always move on. Players come and go. There's obviously a lot of players coming and going this summer. Scott Brown's going away to pastures new at Aberdeen. He's been a great servant, but it's time for other ones to step in now and make sure he's not missed.
Hamish, one of the big frustrations for me, just touching again on the recruitment, is the window was open until October or something, and we never signed a winger at all. We needed a winger all season and we never signed one. What was that all about?
We didn't sign one in January either, did we?
No.
So it was almost as if we just put our fingers in our ears and hoped that we wouldn't be able to hear what was going on. It was it just seemed like the planning this year was all off. But again, like Jackie says, at the end of that summer window, we were sitting here, no doubt, doing one of these videos, chatting about great recruitment. And it's puzzling that, because you actually look at the players we signed now, and that infamous Celtic tweet, the sitting here thinking what a great window, the Charlie Nicholas tweet. At the time, everyone was going, oh, brilliant, you brought in Turnbull, a generational talent possibly, fullback from AC Milan. Shane Duffy's a huge signing, a 5 million in a keeper, proven, or so we thought. 5 million in a striker. El Yunusi coming back. It looked a brilliant window, and then now you look at it and you go dud, flop, not done it yet. I don't know what the lesson is there, John, because you don't really know until you sign them. Now in hindsight, signing Shane Duffy, was a bad one, and from about 3 or 4 games in, you could tell it was going to be a bad one because he couldn't handle having the ball at his feet. And as a Celtic centre back, you're going to have the ball at your feet. Now, we didn't recognise that when we were doing our videos prior to him signing, but how the scouting team didn't realise that flaw in his game, I don't know. So maybe more extensive scouting. I can't believe I'm saying this about Celtic in the 21st century, but perhaps better scouting, perhaps not signing players who aren't playing for their parent clubs on loan, maybe signing up and coming players or players on the up rather than players, on a downward trajectory in their career, possibly.
Jackie, another one, Hamish touched on him there, but Albion Ayeti has been a puzzle as well, isn't he? Because, it seems like that he hasn't been fit all season, which doesn't make sense to me. And I know you've been puzzled. You were puzzled by that in October that he wasn't fit, and now we're in May and he's still not fit. What's going on there?
Yep, it's there's times there at the start. Although he wasn't contributing in terms of the build-up play and different things, but he was scoring. Coming on, he looked sharp in the box and came alive in the box. But then it was just one sort of injury after another. He came back, wasn't right. But I think I said back in October time, the manager can't be blamed for players not being fit and not contributing. It's and I think that would have been a real frustration. You've got all the people working there, and I think that's an area that they always say hopefully they'll get better this year. And the amount of sort of injuries they've had, I know he can't obviously handle. It's not the manager's fault, the club's fault. Players get injuries, but there's a lot of muscular injuries. Just little niggles here and there. There seem to be an awful lot. That's something maybe they should be looking at. To try and make sure he's fit. First and foremost.
Yeah, fitness and injuries have been a real kind of hallmark of this season, haven't they? It's kind of maybe it's the kind of thing you notice when you're losing games or drawing games, but for me, the players just haven't really looked fit enough all season, or certainly the managers have been complaining enough about it. Neil Lennon consistently complained about that with a number of players, Hamish.
Yeah, it's been another frustration. The difficulty I'm having with this question is there's not one thing that went wrong this season that I can put my finger on and say that's the reason we didn't win 10 in a row. It's just literally everything at the club. The training doesn't seem to be particularly good. The recruitment we've touched on. The standard of the coaching team, the standard of the manager, I think has been questioned all season. Things like conceding the same set piece goals all season, from the first game of the season against Hamilton to pretty much the last game of the season, hasn't been rectified at all. Our European record, and then you've got all the off-field stuff, the relationship between the board and the support, which is still at an all-time low. There was a chance for the club to rectify that to an extent in February when Neil Lennon left the club, and if anything it's got worse in the 3 months since, which for me is unacceptable. There's just so much that we have to look to improve on. Not going to Dubai would be a start, obviously, during a global health pandemic, so we'll see how that plays out next January. That was a disaster for our season. I don't know how to put this across, but because I'm not expecting the next manager to come in and to do what the fans tell him, but I do think the support's been right about a lot this season. So the support wanted David Turnbull in the team pretty much from the minute he signed, and it took months and months till we saw David Turnbull. The support knew about various signings and whether they should be getting games. The support called for a change in management from October basically, and when the season was salvageable at that stage, and the club limped on. So I don't know if I'm saying that the support or liaison officer should be in charge of picking the team or whatever, or anything daft like that, but I would just like to see more awareness from the club, more respect shown to the support, because I think that relationship between the two is key.
I think it's like basically that the support aren't daft, are they? They know what's going on and they can see what's going wrong in front of them. I mean, these are people who live and breathe football and consume it every day, and I think Celtic have, in a way, have kind of tried to wash away some of the sins of the season, partly behind silence and partly behind a failure to take responsibility. And the only person who said sorry for the season remains Scott Brown. No one else at the club has said sorry or It really owned up to the mistakes that they've made this season. There's this so-called review that they were supposed to be conducting in the football department that's apparently still ongoing. Are we expecting the club to come out and take a different tone with the sport, Jackie, or is it going to be kind of, this was a bad season, let's move on to the next one without really addressing what went wrong?
Good question. I think it'll be a case of look to the future rather than looking to the past, to be honest.
Brass naked.
Yeah, I think obviously because there's the changes obviously happened when Neil's gone and a lot of players gone. Nicky Hammond's gone, and obviously Peter's leaving at the end of the summer. There's new chief exec coming in, director of football, manager, players. There's no point in going over it after it's all finished. I think it would have to have been earlier on. I think now it's a case of looking forward. Right, what do we need to fix? And obviously there's a lot need to be sorted out. But as I said earlier, I think in a good way. I think it's exciting and people like to see new faces. They like to see new players come and hopefully some big signings for the club in the summer because you feel as if it has to be. It should be exciting. I think that's what we've got to look forward to.
That's the problem at the moment, is that we're effectively still stuck in the limbo, and so we can't really move on from the season until the club start taking action, Hamish. And well, between us talking about this and you publishing this video, they might have, but at the moment it doesn't look like that's any closer to happening than it was, a week ago.
Things can change quickly though, can't they? We know that as Celtic fans, and you could have Eddie Howe announced one day alongside a sporting director. You could have his backroom team being announced a couple of days later, and you could have season ticket renewals no doubt going out within about 5 minutes of Eddie Howe's appointment. We've got next season to look forward to. You could have players, theoretically, signing this month before June, and certainly during the month of June we're going to have to sign a hell of a lot of players, given that we've got a Champions League qualifier in mid to late July to have them all bedded in for. So
63 days, that is.
Yeah, and that's signing the players, getting them to Celtic and getting some sort of training in them and getting them to know their new manager. It's crazy how much needs done before that qualifier, and that isn't a qualifier against an Icelandic team or Faroe Islands. It's going to be against like a Galatasaray or Slavia Prague, who gave us a doing last season. So a lot of work needs done, but the thing I was wanting to get across is that it's going to be exciting for us because we're going to have all this chat pretty much every night. We're going to have a newspaper report about this player. Is he signing? Is he not signing? We're going to get the first footage of Eddie Howe, hopefully, letting the cat out of the bag there, taking his first training session. So, and we're going to have Champions League draw as well. So it is exciting. We should be excited, but I do get you, John, at the moment it's just, you just feel as if we're still living this same world we have been all season. There's no news, and it's certainly not good news.
Yeah, but as I say, 63 days until it all starts again, the craziness starts again, and we can get on with it. Jackie, what's it like after a season? What do the players do in this week? Do they congregate at the training ground and have some sort of debrief of the season, or is it a case of just emptying your locker and going off to the nearest beach?
I think there'll be a few of them just disappearing, to be honest.
They've been on the beach all season.
Usually, you're hopefully celebrating at the end of the season, functions and player of the years, different things. But I think just now there'll be obviously the ones that have been involved with the Euros. I'll be waiting for that, and the squad to be picked for that. The rest of them will be worrying or looking to see their new manager coming in, if they're going to have a future. So, go and have a quick couple of, maybe a quick week away somewhere in the sun, then get back into it again.
Yeah, I believe the team are back in the third week in June, apparently. That's the date that's been penciled in without a manager, according to John Kennedy. So it's a short close season and pre-season at Celtic, and hopefully the players who are going to be here next season do have a break and come back with some sort of new mindset, because it's just not been good enough this season. But we keep supporting Celtic, don't we?
Don't know about the players, but I feel like I need a week in the sun. Don't know if the 67 Hail hierarchy will grant that. Time will tell, but we'll have loads more videos coming throughout the summer. It is an exciting summer. On top of all the stuff I've just mentioned, we've got Scotland back at the Euros, and we will be covering that extensively. Loads to get excited about. But guys, for season 2020-2021, I think I can officially say it's over. Thank you for your time. I'd say it's been a pleasure. It's not really been a pleasure, but it's over now. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you've not done it yet. Reply in the comments below. Like this video, tell a pal, do all of that kind of stuff, and we'll speak to you very soon.